Immigration makes us strong, but it's also something. There's something that you didn't do. There's something that you didn't do as Attorney General. When you were May I finish, Dan? Dan, may I finish? I know for a fact.
I thought it was 30 seconds.
I know, but you've been interrupting, Todd.
Well, some contentious moments in our one-on-one debate between AG Todd Rokita and his opponent Destiny Wells as we bring in our panel right now to talk about last week's debate and this week's top stories. With us here this week, we have former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, 2016 vice chair for the Indiana Trump campaign, Tony Samuel, and two former state reps for the Democrats, Terry Austin, and for the Republicans, Mike Murphy. So, Terry, I'll start with you. This debate, of course, also comes as Democrats react to the AG and Secretary of State's letter potentially questioning the voting and citizenship qualifications of thousands of Hoosiers this week. What do you make of that? What do you make of this race overall right now and that debate that we saw here in our studio last week?
Well, as I watched the debate, I was incredibly surprised, I'm going to say that tongue-in-cheek, with Todd Rokita's behavior. He was very unprofessional. It certainly was not any debate I would have been proud to be a part of. His constant interruptions and condescending attitude towards Destiny Wells was over the top. And I think people need to remember, women are watching. Women are watching this year.
Mike, what did you make of all this from across the aisle of the debate and this race for Attorney General overall?
Well, first of all, I was not surprised at the way he behaved, because I've seen him behave that way many, many times before, both in Congress and here in Indiana. I mean, I don't understand, he's going to win the race, but he feels the need to put down women and be so incredibly misogynistic. I mean, when she talked about going into court, he said, "You've been in court? Well, he said, you would just throw a fit," is exactly what he said. And, you know, I'm not surprised, because he says stuff like that all the time.
Tony, I imagine you may have a different view. You're supporting the Attorney General this year. What do you make of the debate and also the Senate race? We're talking about that this week as well. Congressman Banks says he won't join his opponents there in a debate with the Debate Commission. Do you think he should?
I don't think there's any reason for him to. He's way ahead in the polls, politically speaking.
To Mike's point, why Rokita debate?
Well, you know, he's got his reasons, and I think he had a concern with the Debate Commission and the way that it would be conducted, and I think we should let him make that decision, and you know, I think it's probably the right decision. As far as Rokita goes, Rokita stuck to the issues and tried to make sure that the debate, because it was, you know, a short time.
20-minute debate. You
did a great job, but he had a limited time to stick to those issues. You know, bragging about his office, they've won over 90% of their jury trials. They returned or collected $1 billion in 3 years in settlements for Hoosier taxpayers, and won or returned $81 million in unclaimed property. So he wanted to stick to those issues. He was aggressive, but this is politics. Yeah. This is, you know, the big leagues, and he did what he had to do. I thought he did a great job.
We've got a limited amount of time here too as well. Robin, what's your response? What's your view from across the aisle?
Well, on the Attorney General's thing, this guy has gone after a doctor here who helped a 10-year-old girl who had been raped in Ohio seek reproductive freedoms here in Indiana. He is under review for disciplinary procedures at the state Supreme Court, which is composed of all Republicans. And to add this, just this week, he and Diego decided that we're going to take a look at the citizenship of almost 500,000 people that live in the state to determine 2 weeks from now, voting's already underway, whether they should be eligible to vote based on their citizenship, not their address being swept, anything like that, which is against federal law.
All right, meantime, there is a debate next week in the race for governor. It could be pretty interesting given some of the developments we saw this week. Donald Rainwater responding to a flyer from Republicans about Rainwater's child support situation back in the 90s. What do you think, Terry? Is this a sign of a potentially close race if Republicans are worried about Donald Rainwater right now?
Well, anytime that you are concerned enough to spend big money on someone who, what does he have, 7% of the vote, 11% of the vote?
Between 5 and 10, depending on the polls.
It's a sign. Those of us who've been in politics or campaigns for a long time know that usually means that you're worried that you're behind.
And there's been some question as to whether Rainwater might play a spoiling role in this race. Mike, the Center for Politics recently moved their rating for this race from safe Republican to likely Republican. Should the Braun campaign be concerned?
I don't think they should be concerned, but I also am not so sure they should be running negative ads against a guy who's going to get 5 or 6% of the vote. You know, as I've said all summer and all fall, Braun is going to win by at least 10 points. I said 10 to 20. I'm more like 10 to 11 now, but I still think he's going to win by double digits. And if I were him, I'd be smiling, sitting on my money, and taking a victory lap.
All right, Tony, meantime, the presidential race still very close according to the polls. This week we saw Vice President Harris go on Fox News to make her case to Fox News viewers. What did you make of that move?
Well, she didn't make her case. She turned every question into an attack on Donald Trump. She couldn't answer follow-up questions. She couldn't answer the first question. She's looking really pathetic in all of these interviews, not just with Bret Baier on Fox, but on 60 Minutes the week before. The polls are all moving further and further in Donald Trump's direction. His direction. He's ahead in all of the swing states with Catholic voters. She didn't show up for the Al King dinner in New York City. Everything is going his way, and I think what you're seeing is just the accumulation of his policies working in the American public, believing in it, and then now having a chance to really see her and vet her.
Robin, your response to that, and what's the state of the race in your view right now?
Well, first off, let's go back to governor really quick. Jennifer McCormick is picking up momentum. The other guy has slow momentum. The bottom line is that you are attacking Donald Rainwater, who is a blip on the screen to a lot of people when they think of polling. Why would you do that except you're worried that you're losing part of your base to Donald Rainwater? Not losing them to the Democratic candidate. She's run a great race. Back to president. Back to president, she at least was on the show. This guy's dancing at a party, playing music, playing Pavarotti, and that's his idea of addressing issues. And besides, did you check this one out? He called January 6th a love affair. For who? Crazies? I just think that, I don't think that we want that.
We got to leave it there. We'll have more with the panel coming up, but up next, more of my interviews with the candidates for Senate. Stick around.